Hey everyone, so today we're going to dive into something that pretty much all of us use every single day, but we almost never actually see it. We're talking about the hidden environmental cost of artificial intelligence.
When you use an AI chatbot or ask your digital assistant a question, it really does feel like magic, right? You type something and poof, an answer just appears. It feels like it's just code, something that lives in the cloud. Totally clean, totally virtual, and with no real-world weight to it.
But here's the thing, that virtual world is running on a very, very real physical one. And with this massive explosion in generative AI we're seeing, the question is becoming more urgent than ever. What is the actual environmental price tag for all of our clicks and queries?
So first up, let's really look at this magical illusion that AI presents to us. Okay, so on the left, that's what we see. That's our experience, a simple, clean chat window. But behind that screen is the reality you see on the right, a gigantic industrial-scale network that is just hungry for resources. The perception and the reality, they're worlds apart. All right, let's pull back that virtual curtain and see what's actually making our AI tick.
The answer, in 2 words, is data centers. And look, these aren't your typical server rooms. These are the physical backbone of our entire digital lives. We're talking about enormous buildings packed with specialized computer chips and servers, and every single one of them needs a staggering amount of energy, fresh water for cooling, and of course, the raw materials to even be built.
And that brings us to the really crucial part of this whole thing, putting a number on that environmental bill. Let's just start with one single, kind of mind-blowing number. To train just one large generative AI model can take up to 1,287 megawatt hours of electricity. Now, to put that number into perspective, because what does that even mean, right? Well, that one single training session uses the same amount of electricity as about 120 homes in the US for a full year. That's the energy hiding behind just one AI model being born. This chart really just lays it all out there. On the left, you've got the energy a typical US household uses in a year. And on the right, the energy to train that one AI model. I mean, the difference is just staggering. We're not talking about a little bit more, we're talking about a completely different scale. And the bill doesn't stop with electricity. All of those servers create an unbelievable amount of heat, and they have to be cooled down. That process uses a ton of fresh water. A single big data center can slurp up as much water in a year as a small town, which, raises some serious questions, especially when they're built in places already struggling with drought. And beyond just running the things, there are all these other costs we don't even think about. There's the embodied carbon. That's the footprint from actually mining the materials, manufacturing the chips, and flying them all over the world. Then there's the e-waste problem as all this hardware gets old. And there's a social justice angle too, because these huge industrial buildings often put all that environmental stress, the heat, the noise, the water use, on communities that are already vulnerable. But, this story isn't totally one-sided. AI's relationship with the planet is, well, it's complicated. It actually has the potential to be a huge part of the solution, too. So you've got 2 sides of the coin. On one side, yes, AI has this massive environmental footprint. But on the other, AI is an incredibly powerful tool for environmental good. We can use it to make our renewable energy grids way more efficient, predicting when we'll need power and how to get it from wind and solar. We can use it to watch for deforestation from space, analyzing satellite pictures on a scale no human ever could. It's even helping us build better climate models to see what's coming. So, how does this massive global picture connect back to our own lives? Let's try to bring this home and make it a little more personal. Okay, so we can actually do a little thought experiment to get a feel for our own local digital footprint. Now, this doesn't capture all that crazy server-side energy, but it helps us wrap our heads around the cost. So you start by tracking a task, say a 30-minute chat with an AI. Then you find your laptop or phone's wattage, multiply that by the time you used it, and bam, that's your energy use. Then you can even use a local carbon factor to guess the CO2 output. It just kind of reminds us that even the device right in front of us is part of that bigger energy puzzle. So all of this really pushes us to take a step back. We kind of have to start rethinking what our digital lives actually cost the planet. Which leads to this really fundamental question, right? Are we even aware of the trade-offs we're making? Every single time we reach for that super convenient AI answer, there's this invisible environmental transaction happening in the background. And on a bigger scale,
This is maybe the challenge of our time. How do we keep pushing forward with amazing technology like AI, but do it in a way that our planet can actually sustain? And finally, it all comes back to us. We're not just bystanders here. Our choices matter. Things like maybe using a simple web search when you don't really need a full AI chat, or supporting companies that are genuinely committed to renewable energy. We have a role to play. Ultimately, if you take one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. In our digital world, nothing is truly virtual. Nothing is weightless. Every bit of data, every search, every single byte has a real physical cost. And just being aware of that cost, that's the first real step toward building a digital future that can actually last.